The final 3 episodes of The Legend of Vox Machina Season 1 are here. Let's get through them with spoilers. Hey there, welcome to my Critter Honest review of The Legend of Vox Machina Season 1. If you're new here, I'm Billy, a critter that started with Critical Role with Campaign 2. So the events of Amazon Prime's animated series are pretty much all new to me. I haven't watched Campaign 1 yet, so I have limited knowledge of Vox Machina. There is a lot to unpack here, so let's get right to the episodes. Episode 10 was pretty intense. I was correct that the found prisoner in the dungeon was in fact Dr. Anna Ripley, and she's on Percy's list because she tortured him. Percy was pretty much ready to kill her multiple times actually, but kept getting stopped by Cassandra. Scanlan confronts Percy again about the black smoke stuff, and Percy agrees to have Pike take a look. And yeah, Percy has some messed up stuff going on. Pike's saying that this entity is clouding his soul. Percy agrees that he'll have it sorted out after their current situation. Anna Ripley, proving her worth to keep herself alive, promises to take Vox Machina to the Briarwoods, who are not actually upstairs in the throne room, but below the castle in an underground ziggurat, which is the site of some sort of ritual that will happen that we've heard from Delilah. And unfortunately for Percy and Cassandra, they all have to fight his undead zombified relatives in a burial chamber. And I did chuckle here just about how happy Grog was to basically rip zombies apart with his bare hands. I feel like they've done a much better job with Grog in the later episodes than in the beginning. When we finally get to a large room with Residuum, there's a pretty big plot twist that I did not see coming at all. Percy's gun barrel adds a new name, his sister Cassandra's. And this makes for a really interesting turn of events, because it's not even revealed until the next scene that Cassandra was deceiving them. And it does seem that Cassandra is under some sort of mind control or charm from Silas and not just doing this of her own will. She shuts a trap door so the rest of the group can be trapped in this big room, but Vax manages to slip under the door before it closes, and quickly finds himself controlled by Silas in the same manner. The rest of the episode revolves around this acid trap and Vox Machina attempting to get out of it. They basically have to pull a 3-way switch at the same time to stop the acid from killing everyone, because it's rising up the room as they try to figure out what the hell's going on. And this was pretty insane by Grog, but I loved it. He jumps right into the acid to get the 3rd switch. And there was an awesome combination with Pike, who is consistently healing him while he was down in the acid. It was a cool scene. I can only imagine how awesome and chaotic the whole scene was in Campaign 1 itself. We end the episode with the Briarwoods mentioning that they now have some sort of option for the blood sacrifice ritual. I assume it was supposed to be Cassandra, but now that they have Vax with them, they can choose. Overall, I thought episode 10 was okay. It was essentially story, zombies, trap. I did find the conversation between Vex and Percy to be a nice moment. Vex assuring Percy that everyone in this room with him will never abandon him. And Percy needs to save everyone before they can save his sister and Vax. I'm guessing this is because Percy has the highest intelligence out of anyone in the group. He does, by the way. So he was needed to solve this time-limited puzzle before they all died. And this episode was kind of a build-up and jumping-off point for episode 11, which we'll get right into. Opening on the ziggurat, it looks like the ritual is starting. Scanlan realizes that the tome he saw earlier wasn't a spell book, but a sort of instruction manual for a ritual in the ziggurat itself. And it's linked to the Whispered One. Pike, who has actually heard of the Whispered One before, mentions that it's an undead creature whose soul seeks the power to return to this plane of existence. And it just so happens to be the solstice, the day that the link between the planes is the thinnest. So this is the perfect opportunity for the Briarwoods to go through with this ritual. Meanwhile, Anna Ripley pieces out and Percy is struggling with the smoke. So much so that instead of sneaking up on the Briarwoods, the enraged Percy just walks up the front stairs and yells for Silas. And Vox Machina is losing this battle until Keyleth makes contact with the Sun Tree. And luckily, the light magic that erupts out of Keyleth via the Sun Tree is what Vox Machina needed. The tide has turned and Cassandra and Vax have come to, but not before Vex lays some ground and pound to Vax's face. Pike unleashes what I can only explain as a Dragon Ball Z Energy Blast battle with Delilah. Grog really messes up Silas and holds on to him, while Keyleth unleashes light energy that basically disintegrates him. And I have to say, I've been waiting for an action sequence like this one since episode 3 with the first encounter with the Briarwoods, which was a good fight. All of the action in episode 11 is just amazing. Pike vs. Silas was a big standout for me. The animation in that fight was top-notch. It was the best battle in the whole show so far. I'm no expert in animation, but I feel like the rest of the season they may have cut corners to sort of save budget for this episode in general, because all of these sequences, it looked like a different show. And I don't know if I would go as far as to say that it was worth it, but it was definitely appreciated. Anyways, Delilah makes her way back into the ziggurat. Apparently she did bring the Whispered One back to this plane, and she asks him to honor our bargain and bring Silas back to life. On to more fighting inside the ziggurat itself. Vex hits Delilah with an arrow, and Delilah retaliates by an energy blast, and Keyleth jumps in front of this, most likely saving Vex's life. Meanwhile, Percy blasts a bunch of shots into Delilah. Now back over to Keyleth. She's not dead, but she's on the brink. Pike comes over to quickly heal her, and shit. Pike disappears. The rest of Vox Machina need to figure something out quickly, otherwise Keyleth and most likely all of them are dead. We zoom in on some black energy sphere with purple lightning pulsing, and the episode ends. And just wow. Episode 11 is, in my opinion, the best episode of the season thus far. Fantastic action, and just all the scenarios had me on the edge of my seat. I half expected this to sort of play out like Game of Thrones, where we would hit the climax and that would be it. Episode 12 would be sort of just winding everything down, finishing up the arc, and setting up Season 2. But that's not it. We have a lot more that needs to be explained in Episode 12, and I hope that we have time for all of it. So, on to Episode 12. And while we do have a few minutes of downtime in this finale to Season 1, again, wow. I didn't expect the reveal of a demon and an exorcism of sorts. Whatever it is that's inside Percy. The Whisper One did not return, but there's something seriously wrong with Percy. And at the same time, Keyleth looks to be dying. Luckily, Vax remembers Keyleth's own herbal medicine and uses it on her to bring her back. But the smoke demon is some sort of curse or possession of Percy. It seems as if there was some sort of pact made between the two to fulfill Percy's revenge, in exchange for Percy's soul. And this is rough on Percy. He struggles to gain control of his body and mind. He almost decides to kill himself by shooting himself in the head. We see Percy is not seeing the real world, but some sort of dream where he's seeing all of the people he's already had revenge on. So when he's shooting at them through his vision, he's actually shooting at his friends. And what's even crazier is the barrels are starting to show Cassandra's name again and members of Vox Machina's name. This isn't revenge. This is just the demon wanting to kill everyone around him. Vex has one last attempt to plead with Percy to not forfeit his own soul. Percy manages for a split second to come to and shoots his own hand, which seems to release the demon from himself. Although if you didn't catch it, there's a small bit of black smoke that lingers into the gun. And Delilah's laughing all the way in the background about how they failed to kill her. Yet Percy makes his peace, decides not to kill her. But that wasn't enough for Cassandra, who out of nowhere kind of just stabs her in the throat with her rapier. And to top it off, they throw Delilah's body into the acid. Speaking of the acid, Scanlan decides to toss Percy's gun into the acid just in case. And, well, we get one last glimpse of the demon, so that seemed to be the right move. From here, they leave Whitestone to Cassandra, while Keyleth realizes that she can now fast travel through trees. The season is now wrapping up with Uriel denouncing the throne to the council, and we hear bells ringing, warning bells. 4 dragons are on the way. Fade to black. Ooh, what a way to end Season 1. I thought Episode 10 was okay, because it was mostly a setup episode. Episodes 11 and 12, though, literally blew me away. I was not expecting that. The action in Episode 11 was just top-notch, and I spoke to it earlier. I think they saved a lot of the animation budget for this boss encounter, but it was awesome, so it worked out. As for Episode 12, I didn't see it coming at all. I thought Percy would be dealing with this demon for a long time, but it's gone now. And right away, we have dragons raiding on Vox Machina's parade. Right now, I'm really excited for Season 2 to see where this goes. I do hope that they work out the pacing issues a bit for Season 2. While I think that the Briarwood arc that started with Episode 3 is a good story, I think we had a bunch of just fine episodes mixed in with the great ones. Now that the season is wrapped up, I'm going to get my rewatch on and rewatch the whole season so I can get working on my Season 1 full review, in which I'll finally have a review score. It will be for the season as a whole, though. So if you're not subscribed, make sure that you do and hit those bells so that you'll be notified when that video drops. I'm recording this Thursday night. We'll see when I get this video out, but expect the full season review to drop within a day or two, I would say. Let me know what you thought of episodes 10 through 12 of The Legend of Vox Machina. And until next time, see ya.